evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Beth Farnsworth.
And I'm CJ Ward. Our top story at 6 o'clock, a child kept in a cage by the woman who adopted her. Now, the case shocked the community when the woman was tried almost 10 years ago.
But now that girl is grown, a college student with a unique part-time job, and she is speaking publicly for the first time. News Channel 3's Tracy Lair has her story of survival. Tracy?
Beth, Cynthia Vasquez is now a young adult making a life for herself, but she hasn't forgotten the life she left behind or the children she can help by sharing her story. Cynthia Vasquez doesn't just work at Casa Pacifica's Center for Abused and Neglected Kids.
She came in one of the worst cases that we've ever seen. It was horrendous what she and her sister went through.
Now 19, she still remembers what it was like when she first arrived at the shelter as an abused 9-year-old.
When I went in, there was two night staff, and they asked me if I was hungry, me and my sister, and we said yes, very much so.
After being rescued, Cynthia arrived in filthy clothing. Soon, she donned a princess costume, a change that reflected her life at that point. Back to something good after a living nightmare.
Cynthia's a little girl that came to us from a cage. She had lived in an animal cage in a basement for years.
Almost 5 years, in fact, from when she was just 5. When she first joined her foster family, all was good.
For the first year, it was great. I mean, it was like the dream house. The Christmas was awesome. I mean, we went to Disneyland like every month.
But then everything changed. Cynthia's foster mother received thousands of dollars to pay for her care, but
eventually it just went out of control. I was put inside a cage, a homemade cage.
Made of plywood just 5 feet by 4 feet, built in a basement with a wire mesh window.
On the inside there was a bed, and there was like a latch, so you couldn't like get out.
She remembers being kept on the edge of starvation.
I was only allowed to eat raw eggs with vegetable oil, and it was disgusting.
She remembers hot sauce put in her eyes and other forms of torture.
She put my hand on the stove and left it was like pushing it down.
Social workers visited but never caught on. And Cynthia wasn't alone. Her sister and other foster children suffered a similar fate.
In one of our cages, she would put cat litter in there and then like the cat boxes and food and say, oh, the cat lives in there. And then she would dress me up really well, and she would tell me, like, if you don't act happy and natural, she's like, you're gonna be very upset when they leave.
Cynthia didn't know normal.
I thought maybe all kids go through this. Maybe it's just like a phase or something, so I was expecting it to like stop at some point.
It only stopped when a cleaning lady, threatened with deportation, turned in the foster mother. At her Santa Barbara trial, that foster mother's testimony was shocking. Sylvia Giovanna Vasquez blamed parenting books about treating children with attachment disorders.
Did you read those?
Yes, I did.
Anything in there about locking children up?
No.
Anything in there about putting children in rooms with their buckets and their urine and their feces in them?
No.
Anything in there about putting children in small enclosures?
No.
Anything in there about burning children or pinching them?
That never happened.
Sylvia Vasquez eventually pleaded no contest to 4 felony counts of child endangerment. She got a 10-year sentence, but only served less than a year in jail and the rest on probation. Meantime, Cynthia has moved on.
I have a job, I have a car, I'm going to college. I graduated high school with having missed like 4 grades. Like it was really hard too. And I mean, like, I worked really hard to get to where I am, and I'm happy.
Cynthia has since met other brothers and sisters in her family.
My dad was 23 when I was born. My mom was 15.
And now she's a part-time office assistant at the very place where she first started her new life away from the horror. So when she speaks to children coming in now, she knows, really knows, how bad it can be.
I tell them, like, you know, I kind of know what you're going through. I lived here too.
I hired her because I think she's a resilient miracle.
Last year, her former foster mother reached out to her on Facebook.
She just said, like, oh, my dear Cynthia, I hope you're doing okay. I miss and love you so much.
Cynthia didn't respond.
What would you say to her now?
Nothing. I would just walk away. I've always had the saying, don't dwell on the past, because you can complain about it as much as you want, but that's not going to change what happened. So it's always better just to go forward.
And when she isn't working at Casa Pacifica in Camarillo, she is studying at Oxnard College to become an earth science teacher. In Santa Barbara, Tracy Lair, News Channel 3.